In this video, I am testing a bunch of different lenses with my prosight camera. This is the setup, just the camera pointed at the board, and I move the camera in and out to fill the frame from side to side. So all the lenses are filling the frame from side to side. What I've had to do is keep the camera completely centered on the center square and then move the camera in and out, and then I record the distances. So this should give me an idea of the comparison of the field of view comparing one lens to the next. Starting out, this is a 1.8mm lens that I got from Atmospheric Adventures. It is almost 19 centimeter distance, which is really close to the board. Next is the 2.1mm Atmospheric Adventures lens. This is a really small lens. It's not like your normal 2.1 lens. It's 45 centimeter distance. Next is the 2.3 Runcam lens. This is not an IR block lens, but it's a lens I think I got from Bluestone Airlines with 41.5 centimeter distance to fill the frame. Next is the Rotor Riot lens, which I really liked. It's an IR block lens, and it has a good field of view, and it's 45.8 centimeter distance from the camera. The next is a 2.5 Atmospheric Adventures foxeer lens, which is kind of similar to the Rotor Riot lens, and also is an IR block lens suitable for the prosight, 43 centimeters. Next is the stock prosight lens. Now we're going way out to 57.5 centimeter distance, so the field of view is much smaller at this point. The next lens coming up is the 1.4 millimeter HP plus lens, and that is even a narrower field of view because it went all the way out to 62.5 centimeter distance, making it the smallest field of view of the whole lineup. Now in this test, I'm comparing all the different lenses at the same distance of the camera to the board of 43 centimeters. This way, you go through from lens to lens to lens and see how the field of view changes going from lens to lens. And they should be, all at the exact same distance of 43 centimeters, as close as I could measure them. So as you see, as you get to the lenses with the narrower field of view, you start to really see the look of the board changes. Now we're on the 2.3, and the next one I think is going to be the Rotor Riot lens. The other thing you can see when looking at this is how much fisheye you get, which is why I drew the lines on the board, so you could really see the curve of the lines on the wide field of view versus the narrow field of view. This is the 2.5 foxeer, which actually is very similar to the Rotor Riot lens as far as its field of view and its fisheye. And both of those are IR block lenses, so great for the Connex prosight. This is the Connex stock prosight. Now you can see it got quite a bit narrower where you can't even see the edges of the board anymore, and it's narrowing in quite a bit. It actually surprised me how much more narrow the stock lens was, and the 1.4 HP plus lens is even narrower than the stock lens. So anyways, that's just two different comparisons of the different lenses that I could get my hands on for this test. Okay, here is some of the stuff I used to do the test. First of all, this is my camera rig that I have attached into a holder for my tripod, and I mounted it on this angle piece of aluminum to make sure it was square both in the horizontal axis and the vertical axis, and that way I could put levels and rulers on this aluminum piece to make sure I was lined up properly. So that's my camera and test VTX that I had. And then I had various cameras. I got a bunch of different cameras that I used. For this test, I used the camera that I had that had the straightest sensor. It was actually almost perfect, unlike the other video I did. I had a camera that was 3 degrees off. So the lenses that I used, I got a lot of them from Atmospheric Adventures, a 2.1, a 2.5, that's IR block. This is a 1.8, which is not IR block. And then I have a 2.3 lens that's not IR block that I got from bluestone. As you know, with Connex, you have to use one that has an IR filter in it. But I just threw these in the test to kind of see what the wide angle did. Then, of course, I've got the stock lens that comes with your Connex camera. Then I've got the 1.4 millimeter HP plus lens that I use. But I'll just pull these out of the packages one at a time. We'll just kind of zoom in on what these lenses look like. Okay, so here's the 2.1 millimeter lens from Atmospheric Adventures. This is an unusual looking lens that it's very short, small, doesn't have that big fisheye. It's a little scratched because I had a hard time unscrewing it out of the camera. But it's a very small lens, doesn't have any markings on it as far as the size it is. But it does have a good sized IR filter on the back, and I'm sure you can see that pretty good. And so that was actually a really nice lens. I think all of these are like $9.95 or $10 or something like that at Atmospheric Adventures. Then I get this 2.5 millimeter lens, which is actually a foxeer lens. Comes in these packages, comes in a double package. And that's what this one looks like. It'll say foxeer. I wrote AA in there for Atmospheric Adventures, but it's a 2.5. And that is what that lens looks like. Again, as you can see, if you look closely, you can see the IR filter on the back there. And so that's the 2.5 from Atmospheric Adventures. Put that one back. Then we got this 1.8, which I also got from Atmospheric Adventures, which I don't think has an IR filter on it. I didn't really test the colors on it, but it looked like it was a little green, which is what you get when you don't have an IR filter. It has a very small aperture on the back, but this is what this lens looks like. It says IR 1.8, 1/2.5. It's got a big, huge glass lens in the front and a small aperture in the back. So that's that lens. There's other 1.8s that I've seen out there that look a lot better, that actually look a lot like that 2.1 lens, but I couldn't get my hands on any one of those. Oh, the lens I'm forgetting to cover here, actually, I forgot to cover, is this Rotor Riot lens. This is one of the ones I really wanted to test. This is the box that it comes in from, I guess they private label it from Runcam. And this is what the Rotor Riot lens looks like. So it'll say Rotor Riot around the edge. I'm not sure if it says what size it is. It's an RC25G 2.5. It says it's 2.5, 140 degrees field of view. So this isn't, it's nicely packaged. I think it's $10. Again, this one comes with, see if you can see that there. It comes with the IR filter on it. Let's put that back in the light here. Comes with the IR filter for our Connex camera. Comes like that. And then I had this 2.3 millimeter lens. I wanted to try to get something a little different. I got this from Bluestone Airlines. This is a Runcam 1/3 inch 2.3 lens. I didn't really have any other information with this. This again is not an IR, but one of those filters that actually comes in the back of the stock lens, you can actually probably just glue in there pretty easily if you want to use this lens. So that's that 2.3 Runcam lens that I got from Bluestone Airlines. Then of course you get the stock lens that just comes with your Connex camera, and it's got the stupid spring and glue on it, which I always take those off as soon as I get them, and I put a regular lock ring on there instead of this stupid stuff. You can always tell the stock lens because it has that filter glued on four corners in the back. But it's a 2.8 lens, I believe, and just using that for comparison. A lot of people are still using the stock lens, when they put their Connex on. Now the other lens this is that 1.4 lens that you can get for the Connex camera. I think I got this from Get FPV. And that's what this lens looks like. So it's a 1.4 lens. You have to run it HP plus. If you try to run it in regular high performance mode, it's like super crazy wide angle, and it's unusable. But again, with this one, you can see the filter in the back there. Got a filter. So and that's the Connex prosight 1.4 lens. So that's the rundown on the lenses that I used in this test.